This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
He's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, Sirius XM channel 158. It's Gil Alexander from sunny San Francisco. Kelly Bidlin back at the mothership, back from vacation in Las Vegas. Kelly, first things first, good morning to you, sir. Glad to have you back.
Good morning. Good to see you. Gil, this is going to be the ANG kind of summer setup here. I like it, man. You're in San Francisco loving life. I love it.
You know, the problem is we never tested precisely at 7 in the morning. And so we have the strange sunlight. This will go away, I promise you, here in time.
It's great natural light, but that's what happens sometimes with natural light. Yeah.
Go away, son. First of all, thanks to Dustin Sweetelson in your absence. First of all, Wyatt Tomczyk last Monday, then Dustin Sweetelson the rest of the week. Did a great job in your absence. How was your vacation? You had a good time? I hope you didn't have Scotty Scheffler at the Travelers.
Oh, no, it was, thank God, only at the U.S. Open, Gil. So, yes, I did not go back to Scotty at the Travelers, which I was regretting for a lot of the weekend, not having done that. But that works out well as he does lose in a playoff to Viktor Hovland here this morning. But, yeah, no, great vacation. Was able to get down to the Florida Keys, spend some time down there, one of my favorite places in the world. And, then hang out in Vegas here for the past few days. Do a little pool activities, a little gambling. It was a good time, yo. Good time.
Yeah, Kelly with a very early return from the Florida Keys. We were scolding him for that. Before we get to anything else, by the way, Greg Peterson on the show today, Adam Burke on the show today, our regulars, Wes Reynolds on the show today as well. We will do MLB most July wins here coming up in about 10 minutes, even less than 10 minutes. We're going to get into it. Circa doesn't have them up. William Hill Caesars does. We'll take a look at where June is, where the Miami Marlins magic number is 1. At least at Circa, it's at 1. A little different, and the dead heat rules at William Hill Caesars, but just a remarkable month for the Miami Marlins. By the way, Kelly, 0 people had the Marlins in June at Circa. I have to get the word from Eric Biggio over at William Hill Caesars. Nobody bet the Marlins. The book swept it all.
So
we'll get into we'll get into in July. I think they were 80-1 pre-flop, I want to say, 75-1 at one of the shops, 80-1 at the other. Before we do anything else, let me vomit out the Wimbledon picks for today. Wimbledon has begun over there in London town. One of the 6 picks, 6 picks this morning for subscribers, VSiN.com/picks. One of them has started, only one of them. That's the Ali Tarvit. Ali Tarvit is an English player. He's already started against Artur Rinderknech. That one has begun. He's a plus 122 dog. The rest have not. 2 on the men's side. Marin Cilic is a big dog, plus 223, versus Daniil Medvedev. Hugo Gaston, plus 190 versus Stefanos Tsitsipas. And then 3 on the ladies' side. Katerina Siniakova, minus 142 versus Zhang Xinwen. I will skip the big one and save it for last. Lanlana Tararudi, a Thai player, plus 125 versus Lily Tagger. And then the big one, Hungarian Pana Udvardi, plus 355 versus Ekaterina Alexandrova. Those are the Wimbledon plays that remain today. Just started over there in London. By the way, just to clarify on the Travelers, in case you missed it, Scotty Scheffler, Viktor Hovland went to a playoff this morning. They both have great approach shots, birdie opportunities. Hovland sticks what was nearly a 7-footer. And then Scotty misses the 2.5-footer. You've said it many times, Kelly. If that dude could putt, my God.
Yeah, the putting number's much better this year and actually over the past couple years. But yeah, it was. I think watching some of that yesterday. I mean, look, he had a couple rounds of really great putting this weekend. But yeah, watching some missed putts yesterday that just could have gotten him over the finish line. And then this morning it comes back to bite him. And tip the cap to Viktor Hovland getting the W, and he's starting to round back into form. I think we have hit an exciting point in the golf season where early in the year it was so top heavy. It felt like with 4, 5, 6 guys, and now you've got some of these other names that are getting back into the mix. And then Gil, just an awesome atmosphere. I really wasn't expecting to say that after the Travelers Championship, but these Norwegian fans have taken over the United States in World Cup, and it's just amazing. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll get to the World Cup too, where Canada has kicked off the round of 32 with a 92nd minute goal to advance the round of 16 yesterday against South Africa. So we will start talking World Cup. We have a triple header at the World Cup today as well. Before we get into MLB July wins and everything else on the show we want to talk about, I want to do a little, this is great for your return because it's right in your wheelhouse, but you didn't get a chance because you weren't here last week to chime in on what the Charlotte Hornets are doing. The Charlotte Hornets, Minnesota Timberwolves trade, the big one late last week where the Hornets sent LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves. They sent Naz Reid, among picks back. So in a span of a week, the T-Wolves traded Julius Randle. They traded Naz Reid. And then, in case anybody missed it, yesterday, the Hornets trade Miles Bridges, who I know you love, a 2029 first-round pick and a 2027 second-rounder to the Phoenix Suns for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 first-round pick. I mean, we are way out there now with these picks. But the Hornets and the Timberwolves, Kelly, have just absolutely decided to change their entire identities. And I was curious how you feel, first of all, about the Reed and LaMelo Ball trade, the biggest of the bunch, but really what both teams are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, Gil, one of the more fascinating trades that I feel like I've seen in a long time, because I think it completely depends on how you value LaMelo Ball. And I thought that was made very clear that there was still some belief in him on the Minnesota side. And despite a 50-plus game sample size of one of the best teams in the NBA down the stretch of the regular season, the Hornets making the decision to move on. And I think it really gave off the vibes of, hey, we've been trying to get out of the LaMelo Ball business for years now. This one stretch of a great run it raised his value enough for a trade to make it worth it for us, and to hit the reset button and move forward with this younger crop. And I know you and I were texting a bit about it yesterday. Surely it tells you that Hornets front office and ownership did not believe in what they saw towards the end. And I think it's even tougher for me to stomach, Gil. I think for a lot of people that know how much I did believe in that team down the stretch and was interested to see them running it back. I thought they were priced pretty long odds wise. I think this continues even further. For Minnesota, I think it's a little bit different story. It's less head scratching to me on the Minnesota side. I think what you've done is you've revamped this roster now, and you've moved out a lot of these bigs that you knew you could rely on, that I think raised your floor during the regular season and during the entire season. But you saw in the playoffs that they needed that secondary ball handling and scoring that they could rely on. I think that's where LaMelo Ball could come into play. I think it could raise their ceiling. And I think there's a lot of the teams that are just desperate out west. You and I have been talking about it all year, right? It's the Thunder and the Spurs, and you got to figure out a way to somehow combat that. And I think Minnesota, for as good as they are, we're looking at their roster and saying, this isn't good enough.
Yeah, it's interesting because for me, again, and time will tell, right? I could be wildly wrong about this. To me, it was a lose-lose because I don't understand. In other words, both teams basically said, now you might be right, both teams might have made the assessment, this is great, we're never going to win a championship with this. And so then it all makes sense. Because in the moment, what it appears to me is that both teams who looked like they were on the up and up, they sold their souls, they sold their identities. So my question to you, and this is what I really want to get at, is you, Drew, Zach, I think all the NBA hardos, right, loved the Hornets last year. Yeah. JVT was a big deal for everybody. What was it that the Hornets saw differently in the end? Where because you said they want to get out of the LaMelo Ball business. Zach's comment really for sort of flippantly was, wow, they must really hate LaMelo Ball, right? And Drew's comment about the Timberwolves was, wow, are they trying to get Chris Finch to quit? So even they were a little perplexed. Why did they so desperately want to get out of, as you say, the LaMelo Ball business.
Complete culture change in Charlotte. I think we've heard a couple people talk about it. I know Tim McMahon was talking about it over at ESPN this morning. You see Miles Bridges get traded yesterday to the Phoenix Suns. Bridges, with his own off-court issues that he's had in the past, LaMelo Ball is, reportedly been a pain in-house. And besides being injured a ton, this is a guy that's dealt with massive ankle injuries and missed a lot of time throughout his career. I think the Hornets just saw it as, you know what, we had this good run. We could sell high on these guys. Let's reset this culture around Colin Knippel and Brandon Miller and move forward. I think that what's tough for me to stomach, Gil, and we can spin this ahead to some of these other NBA conversations as free agency gets started this week. It's tough for me to think of the Hornets justifying that move after what you saw they were able to do down the stretch. When you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, yes, the Knicks are good. Yes, the Pacers are going to be better. Yes, the Heat just landed Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think it's very, very, very open with what we're seeing in the Eastern Conference. And I think maybe the most mind-blowing part of all of this in the East is this Jaylen Brown story that won't go away. It made sense to me when they were talking about Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why are we still talking about trading Jaylen Brown? Because they're still talking about it. And there are reports coming down the past couple days about offers being made on both sides. So I'm a little confused by that. It looks like there are a potential that the Celtics want to hit the reset button a little bit. And it's, man, I would be looking at this as an opportunity in the East with I don't think that many dominant teams standing in the way.
Yeah, well, I think in the Celtics case, it's simply because the Jaylen Brown news got out there, right? And now it's their hand is sort of forced. They must make a move. I think if it was all in a vacuum and nobody knew about Jaylen Brown being dangled out of there, I'm not sure they want a different identity. And an interesting point was made last week as well. Is no one saying that it's Brown over Tatum? Like there's no consideration that Tatum should be the one dealt and not Brown? This will all be fascinating moving forward in the National Basketball Association. Let's get to the good stuff. MLB, most July wins. We break it down. My third, second, and first selection, the one I actually made a bet on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from San Francisco today and the rest of this week and next week as well. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidley, back in Las Vegas. Kelly Bidlin, of course. You can follow Kelly on Twitter at Kelly Bidalon. Kelly back from vacation. Kelly, later this week, you will be able to sit in with Crack on Thursday. That's going to be a new experience.
Love it.
And then Steve Fezzik, though, on Friday has told us on the group chat yesterday that he's like, is this week July 4th? I'm like, well, yeah, it's Saturday, I think, right? July 4th is Saturday. Am I right about that?
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, I don't work July 4th week. I'm like, wait, you need 36 hours to prepare for the excitement that is fireworks? You like fireworks that much? He's like, yeah, I can't do it. So Steve Fezzik not coming in Friday.
You know
he
what?
will not have that pleasure.
You know what, Gil? At this point, it's just on us. I know it continuously surprises us when Fezzik makes his request for his holidays off. But yeah, it's been like 4 years now. It's Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, right? I should know that. by now.
He needs 36 hours to get in the right mindset for the glory, the wonder that is our 250th. By the way, 250.
250.
This is amazing.
I mean, this is a guy who looks forward to fireworks every single Friday. So imagine what July 4th is like. Okay. Yeah.
Happy birthday, America, by the way. 250. I'm old enough to remember 200, Kelly. I remember 200. I was single digits back then. Greg Peterson barely remembers 225. I'll tell you that much. But he knows what the slate is in Major League Baseball. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at gunit_80. He joins us now with his beautiful background, as always, fully clothed. Greg Peterson. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. And yeah, you guys were talking about it a little bit off air. The fact that the Miami Marlins had the best record in all of June. They have locked that down. Not something I saw coming personally.
Well, you know what? I thought I was going to read this tweet and somehow I skipped it, but someone mentioned that someone on our show, let me see if I can find it. They thought that somebody said they came on and talked about the Marlins, but I believe what they're referring to is Joe Sheehan in May loved the Marlins and bet the Marlins in May. So he gets the added sort of kick in the rear with the Marlins doing this. By the way, it's not over yet. Marlins still have to get home. Their magic number at Circa is 1. William Hill Caesars, they're still a dead heat possibility, but the Marlins are in the driver's seat. 1 win better than the Phillies, 18-6 to 17-8. And let me just repeat for everybody. Circa, not a single person bet on the Marlins at 80-1. William Hill Caesars, a far vaster shop in terms of how many different brick and mortar outlets they have, the number of states they're in. Not one person had him at William Hill Caesars, and that probably doesn't surprise any of us, huh, Greg?
Yeah, that does not surprise me very much because, I mean, for the Miami Marlins, it's not even like this team is at full strength right now. They've been throwing out there someone like a Ryan Gusto once every 5 days, and any team that's throwing out the Ryan Gusto once every 5 days, I probably am not going to have very high expectations for. One of the lowest teams in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis, and their leader in home runs, Liam Hicks, is currently on the injured list. So that shows you how the Marlins are doing it. I've sort of been calling them the Southeast version of the Milwaukee Brewers, the way that they've generated runs, they've gotten pitching out of random places. Good on them.
Yeah, by the way, I should amend what I just said. I'm not surprised that Circa, that nobody had him. But the vast nature of William Hill Caesars, you just think by math alone, somebody, right? Somebody, a Marlins fan maybe, is going to randomly have picked the Marlins at that number, 75-1, 80-1 to win the month. But there it is. Nobody has, and we'll see if the Marlins actually get home. Let's talk about your picks today. The White Sox are taking on the Orioles. The nice thing about having you on is that Mark Borchardt and I just did our Q2 derivatives show late last week. We are all rounding the bend now. We are at the halfway mark. I know the All-Star break is a couple weeks away, but this is the halfway point of the Major League Baseball season. So in all of these matchups, you can sort of think about how you felt about these teams at the beginning of the season and where they are now. The White Sox, Greg, in a virtual tie, percentage points ahead of the Cleveland Guardians, 4 games above 500 in the AL Central. By any measure, it has been a fantastic first half of the season for the White Sox. And then there's the Orioles, right? The Orioles we had a lot of people saying they will win the division in the AL East. They're 39-46. They're 11 games out of the AL East lead. Obviously, they have other designs on a wild card position, but it's the White Sox and the Orioles today at Camden Yards. The 9th oldest park in baseball now. Heard that stat yesterday. I cannot believe that. I remember when it was built. 9th oldest ballpark in baseball. Orioles are a slight favorite. Who do you got here?
I'm going to be taking a shot here on the White Sox. Yes, they have certainly been one of the biggest surprises for me all season long, and Sean Burke has been a big reason why. 3.71 ERA. He's given up a little bit over a home run per 9 innings with 9 strikeouts per 9, and he's been at his best away from home. That goes down to a 3.06 at ERA away from home. I trust in the White Sox lineup a little bit more. They've got the lower bullpen ERA, and for Shane Baz, he's been able to keep the ball in the yard. He's giving up less than 1 home run per 9 innings, but for Shane Baz as well, the command has been a little bit all over the place. 3.5 walks per 9 innings, getting fewer than 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And again, with that Orioles bullpen, Ryan Helsley, since coming off the injury list, he's been a little bit of a mess for the team. White Sox, I recognize that their bullpen can sometimes be a little bit less than trustworthy, but feels like they've found some good pieces in the back half of it. Now, if you don't get Sean Burke and you see someone like Grant Taylor or something like that, they oftentimes do throw an opener for Sean Burke. You'll still be getting him here, but do like the White Sox have plus money on the money line.
Tigers and Yankees today, Greg, with the Yankees just coming off the 4-game sweep at the hands of the Red Sox at Fenway. The Yankees find themselves now a game behind the Rays in the AL East, and the Tigers are in that proverbial, well, we're 6.5 games out of a wild card position. Do we sell come trade deadline, which is August 3rd, which seems like still an eternity away? What do you have today and the Bronx?
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much every team in the American League is still alive for a playoff spot. I'm personally going to eliminate the LA Angels. If the LA Angels make the playoffs, I'll just eat my hat and move on. But that said, with the Tigers, I like them in this spot because for the Yankees, You mentioned it. They lose on Sunday Night Baseball. They have to go to extra innings on Sunday Night Baseball after that late game. Now they have to travel back home for this as well. And Casey Mize has been great for the Tigers. 2.95 ERA, 0.6 home runs, 2.2 walks allowed per 9 innings. And Brian Weathers is just giving up all sorts of hard contact right now. Giving up about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings. His ERA has gone up to a 3.95 for the Yankees. They were able to get a really nice start out of Carlos Rodon, but with the game going to extra innings, had to use up a little bit more of that bullpen than they were thinking as well. And for the Yankees, going into Sunday Night Baseball, they had scored just 24 runs over the last 10 games. I believe they scored 4 runs yesterday, so that means last 11 games, they have scored 28 runs. They're now really starting to miss Aaron Judge, so I took it under at 8. Right now, this is up to 7.5 in some spots. Wouldn't be able to get there on a 7.5 under, but 8+ in on the under and the Tigers' money line.
Reds and Brewers today. The good news for the Reds is they're the best last place team in all of baseball at 39-43. The bad news is none of their underlying numbers suggest that they should be quite that good at 39-43. They're taking on the Brewers, who are every bit as good as their 50-31 record. How are you playing this today?
I do like the over here. For Robert Gasser, he's struggled a little bit at the big league level. Does seem like he's starting to round into form a little bit. Has always been just an absolute menace at the AAA level. But Nick Lodolo, well, he needs to try to get his ERA on the low because it has been above 450 all season long, and he's given up a lot of hard contact. He's given up darn near 2 home runs per 9 innings. And for the Brewers, they don't hit a lot of homers. They're a bottom 6 team in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. And yet here they are, averaging over 5.2 runs per game. They just small ball you to death. And for the Reds, they get back Elly De La Cruz. Does look like that offense has been able to fortify itself a little bit, and that Reds bullpen is not good. They're currently in the bottom 8 in terms of ERA, so do think that you're going to get some nice scoring here, like that 9 to the over.
Padres and Cubs. Man, Cubs, what could have been in the month of June. The total is set at 12 at Wrigley. I know you're playing that one way or the other.
Yes, and we're seeing it go down a little bit. I'm starting to see some 11 and a half, but even at an 11 and a half, I like the under. The wind is going to be blowing out, and it's going to be blowing out relatively hard. But for the San Diego Padres, you should have Griffin Canning either start this game or be like some sort of a bulk pitcher for them. It has not been good for him, but that said, the Chicago Cubs have your top 2 players in terms of men left on base in all of baseball. Ian Happ along with Alex Bregman, and Padres, they themselves dead last in terms of run creation here in baseball, but a top 3 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Shohei Managa had a really nice start to the season, really waned. Do you think they can round into a little bit of better form here? Just feel like that total is a little bit too high, so I took a shot on the under.
All right, we've been talking about the Marlins trying to clinch June, so we have to do a Marlins play here. Marlins Rockies, Greg. Do you think that the Marlins clinch circa June?
I do, and this opened up in some places as low as a -122. Now seeing this more around about a -135, -140. Still love it here. Sandy Alcantara, maybe he's on peak form, but not hurting himself. 1 home run, 2.2 walks allowed per 9 innings, and for the Rockies, they're throwing out their Sean Sullivan at a 5.60 ERA at the minor league level. Here at the big league level, it's got up to an 8.25. Marlins doing a great job. Just give you some small balls, stealing some bags, be able to generate runs. Really good bullpen as well. So I like the Marlins here on the money line.
I'm certain the Marlins are very well aware of this title they're about to win and will pop the champagne if that in fact happens, Greg. Greg Peterson. Greg, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming back, Country Club in Wimbledon and the John Deere and golf.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
20 leagues, 1 mission. Just Win Bets Baby is your premier source for daily sports betting picks. They break down the data so you can bet with confidence across the entire sports calendar. Scan the QR code or visit justwinbetsbaby.com today and start betting smarter with Just Win Bets Baby. The name says it all. Colin Murphy, by the way, has a follow-up question to going over the Wimbledon quarters. He says, if this Sinner result holds, is there a future or two on his side of the bracket that you like and we can get ahead of now? Well, let's define holds first of all. Jannik Sinner appears to have righted the ship at least to force a 5th set. But in the event that somehow he does not win a 5th set against Miomir Kekmanovic and loses the match, is there a bet? You know, who's the next guy up is a great question. And I get to, you know, on his side of the bracket, I think Novak Djokovic, this is his time to shine. Rafa Hodar might have something to say about that in Q1 for sure. Daniil Medvedev, if he can get Basmarin Cilic today. But I think Novak Djokovic is the opening that he needs to get that all-elusive 25th major again. He's got 24. Rafa had 22. Roger had 20. If you care about cross-gender, Margaret Court had 24 on the ladies' side, so Novak would sit alone at 25. But I think Novak becomes the guy on that side of the bracket, on that half of the bracket, to answer your question. But as a tournament as a whole, I think it's Novak on that side, and I think Taylor Fritz has to be thinking to himself on the other side, I've got these great grass numbers. If I am ever to flirt with winning a major, maybe this would be my opportunity, but we're a long way away from that. It looks like it's going to be knotted up at 2 sets apiece in the Sinner match. So we shall see.
Yeah, he's a massive favorite, minus 1180 now to win this match, Gil. I'll tell you, when we were running through those futures odds, besides Serena's number, it was the Djokovic number, though, that jumped out to me. Like, it is. I mean, he's getting long in the tooth, man. Minus 135 to win that quarter. Like, we're still odds-on favorites with Novak. Okay, all right.
You know, you're right.
Sounds like not a surprise to you, though. Okay.
No, it is. I mean, it is a surprise that it's that low. I think you're right about that, where it's like, wow, should he be minus money when Felix Auger-Aliassime and João Fonseca, not to mention Rublev and Tien and Davidovich, Fokina, not to mention that all those guys are in there? Probably not. It should probably be short plus money, but he's Novak, man.
Yeah.
He can figure this stuff out. It just is magic with him. So not the most outlandish price in the world, but I would agree with you. I think it should be short plus money. As he pursues number 25. But Jannik Sinner, as Kelly just mentioned, back to minus 1,100 as we look to be knotted up at 2 sets apiece in that one. Wes Reynolds joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line, part of the glue that holds this whole operation together. You can follow him on Twitter at Wes Reynolds 1. That's the number 1. Wes, good morning to you, sir. Before we go any further, have you watched the Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary?
I have, actually. I did watch it over the weekend. Very well done, even though it seemed like it was a little bit of a Maurice White documentary. And that's kind of like what hit me, even though like he was the leader and the visionary of the band. And we all know that, right? But the other guys just seemed like sidemen, didn't they? Kind of in the documentary, and how he paid them. It's like there wasn't any equal profit sharing here. It was like, you know, this is Maurice White's band and you are hired guns.
It's an Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary on HBO Max that we're talking about. It was produced by Questlove. It really should be called The Rise and Fall of Earth, Wind, and Fire. You're absolutely right. It was really about Maurice White. Not the greatest dude in the world, I guess we can say. No. Spectacular.
When he fired the whole band, the original band, he fired them.
Wildly talented musician, not the greatest dude in the world, as it turns out, both with personal relationships and relationships with the band. It's like so many other music stories, though, right? But we just never knew this about Earth, Wind, and Fire. So highly recommend that as a non-sports doc. The Travelers, Wes, did you have Hovland? Did you have Scheffler? What's the word?
I had Colin Morikawa, actually. So, unfortunately, he had to slam the trunk as he missed the playoff by 1. But the playoff this morning, Victor Hovland gets it done. And you know, the discussion's obviously going to be about Scotty because he hasn't won since the American Express. But I think it's been 13 events since he's won. He's been in the top 5 8 times, and he's had 4 runners-up. So yeah, he's not at his peak, but he hasn't, like, fallen off the face of the earth. For me, the story is more about Victor Hovland because of how frustrating he is and how talented he is. And you feel like this is a guy that should win more. This is a guy that should be a top 5 player in the world. And then last week at the U.S. Open, we see him not playing because he missed the cut on the weekend. He is, you know, practicing on the tee, staying on site at Shinnecock Hills and doing practicing. And he's a constant tinkerer, I think, guys. Like, he's always tinkering with his swing. He's always messing around, changing swing coaches and doing all this stuff. And it's like, stay out of your own head. You've got the talent. And it's like, if something doesn't work, he just instantly changes it instead of like sticking through with the process and believing. We were laughing about the process last week with Wyndham Clark and his caddy saying that as ad nauseum. But it's like, Victor needs to stick with the process because he's really talented, and he makes the putt this morning in the playoff and triumphs over Scheffler.
John Deere, looking ahead to this week. I know you'll have all your final thoughts on long shots with Kelly and Matt when that comes out tomorrow afternoon. But some preliminary thoughts on what is, we were debating this on air. I think last week was the last signature event. Kelly was saying the Scottish Open might be the last one. This clearly is not.
No, it isn't. It's really, it's obviously in a dead spot in the schedule. And you have some names here, maybe not some of the real tippy top names. You don't have the Schefflers and you don't have the Rorys and those guys, but you've got a quality field here. This is actually a very good field. And a lot of these guys electing to go ahead and stay here. Some are taking the week off if they're not playing the DP World Tour event. So, yeah, Bob, looking at this, it's going to be low scoring. I kind of like this event. It's a quirky little event. It's obviously in a smaller market there in the Quad Cities, and they take real pride in having this event. Hopefully it doesn't go away. I fear that it might with a lot of these changes in the PGA Tour schedule that are upcoming in the next couple of years. But should be low scoring, around 20 under is probably going to win this thing. Birdie Fest that you're getting in a lot of these Midwest events, but you only got the 1 week now in between this and then when they go overseas for the Scottish and then the Open at Royal Birkdale. So, I'll be looking kind of mid-range and a little bit down the board, but there's a lot of names here that hadn't won in a while that I think are looking to get back in the winner's circle. The Jordan Spieths and the Ricky Fowlers and the Keegan Bradleys. Chris Gotterup looks like the top-ranked player that's going to be in here, and he's already won a couple times this year. So should be an interesting event with birdies aplenty.
Yeah, this is we are done with the signature events. You are right, Gil. The Scottish Open, just $9 million up for grabs. So just a lot of money, not a signature event, I guess, is where we're going with for that. Wes, this is, well, looking ahead to the Open Championship, like this is the only other, we do this a lot with the Masters, right? In the lead up to the Masters, and you're maybe adding some futures bets. I don't do as much with this, and I know you don't either with the PGA or the U.S. Open. I would say over the next couple weeks, there is a little bit of a window for me to look at some open odds and possibly add some futures there. Is there anybody that's jumping out to you right now? Because there are some guys kind of in that mid-range that are jumping out to me right now.
Yeah, on the shorter end, Kelly, probably, the narrative, of course, is going to be that this is at Royal Birkdale in Southport, England, and that Tommy Fleetwood grew up right there in Southport, England, used to sneak over the fence and actually watch the Open when it would come in the Open rotation through Royal Birkdale. So he's going to be a popular player, but there's a lot of guys that are going to do different prep too. Some guys are going to play the Scottish, and then some guys are just going to take the week off and be over there to prepare where they're playing rounds. So it'll be interesting who is in the field next week. I think it's going to be relatively star-studded, but you do see some guys that have a different, I think, mentality for that, where it's like, well, I'd rather do my own prep, or is the best prep competition. So that's what I think you're going to see at the Scottish. Robert McIntyre will be a guy who's won this event that I think will be looked at, as will Fleetwood. Aaron Rai, who's won this event in the past at Renaissance, I think he's going to be looked at. So a lot of guys. I think that this is going to be an interesting major here at Royal Birkdale, where Scotty's going to be the favorite, but maybe not ultimately the convincing one, just because we don't have the win equity over the last few months.
Last 5 months, to be exact, with win equity and lack thereof with Scotty. You're right, July 16th, the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. So less than 3 weeks away, which is nice for us because that's Baseball All-Star Week. So nice to have that perched right inside that week so we have something to talk about. Is there, just before we go and off that, is there a name that we wouldn't expect that you're sort of thinking about this much in advance, Wes, to win that tournament?
One that's playing the John Deere this week. I'm just interested how he's going to play really over the next few weeks, including the Open. You'll see on that graphic Jackson Coyven, who is going to make his professional debut this week at the John Deere Classic. He was the player of the year in the NCAA, led Auburn to the team championship. He's destined for stardom. If you follow the golf world, everybody thinks this kid's going to, it's like, how soon is he going to win? It might be this week, so I'll be interested to see how he plays over the next several weeks now that he is a touring professional.
All right, more with Wes on the other side. He has a soccer play today. We will get to that, the World Cup, next on A Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
As Kelly and I were just discussing, the all-new VSiN NFL betting guide is out now. Whether you're betting futures, win totals, division races, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl odds, whatever, our guide helps you get ahead of the market before training camps begin. Inside, you'll find breakdowns of all 32 teams, projected win totals, best bets from VSiN experts, futures analysis, power ratings, and more. Get it today with our football special for just $175. The sooner you sign up, the more value you get with full access to everything we do across every sport through the Super Bowl. That includes daily best bets, real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop projections, 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe now. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Gil Alexander in San Francisco. Kelly Bidlin back at the mothership. They're in Circa Sportsbook, right atop the Circa Sportsbook there in Las Vegas. This gentleman not only just tried to kick me off of my connection here in San Francisco, but he is the man who steered the ship on the NFL betting guide. Adam Burke joins us now from somewhere in Las Vegas, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, good morning to you, sir. Was this your finest betting guide work, in your opinion?
I hope so. I hope that's exactly how people feel about it, because I think we put out a really, really good product here. I know I've been talking about it for over a week now, but look, I think it's a really good time to jump in on the NFL futures market, props, awards, all those kinds of things. And very happy to have this guide out. I mean, there's tons of best bets in this thing from all of our VSiN hosts and contributors. We changed up the format a little bit in terms of the team previews as well. So very happy to have this one out. I'll tell you what, you talked about that football special. I am emailing out assignments for our college football guide this morning, and I've already started working on my part. That comes out Monday, August 3rd here at VSiN.com. So good time to get that football special for sure.
When do you need my Sunbelt preview done by, Adam, just so I note it correctly?
I'm actually going to give you Conference USA this year, Kelly.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Is that, not to get too in the weeds of like guide, inside baseball stuff, but like, is the college football one the most challenging now because of transfer portals? Is that the hardest one to do?
I would say that undoubtedly the hardest one to do is the college basketball season preview.
College basketball,
obviously a transfer portal thing there too, but I mean, there's 360 some odd Division I teams for that. So that one's definitely a really, really big piece of work, but the college football one isn't easy either with, I think it's 33 or 34 new head coaches this season to go along with thousands of players in the transfer portal. So, you got to do your research, you got to do your homework, and that's what we're trying to help people with here. Our audience out with that college football guide. But I would say it's probably second to college basketball, which is just, I'm not going to say I dread it, but it's definitely an interesting time of year, especially with everything else going on at the time when you're writing the college basketball one.
All right, let's get to Major League Baseball. You're always making plays. Let's talk about your Guardians. No Jose Ramirez, and they refuse to fall under 500. For God's sakes, can we just fall under 500 already? Which to me, if they can make it through the absence of Ramirez and maintain 500, it's a feat. You have a play on the Guardians Rangers this morning.
Yeah, I do. And look, I know that there's been some games where they've kind of scored some runs, 5 or 6 runs here or there, but there are very, very long stretches of these baseball games where they just look pathetic on offense. And they looked bad on offense with Jose Ramirez. At least they got Chase DeLauder back, and he had a couple big hits for them in yesterday's game to steal one from the Mariners. But guys, I don't play a whole lot of Nerfies, the no-run first inning market, but I think today is a really good opportunity to play one where you got Tyler Alexander opening for the Rangers. He's left-handed. That's a handicap for Cleveland to begin with. Also, I don't know how Stephen Vogt's going to set this lineup up. I think it's fascinating. He's had Stephen Kwan batting leadoff the last couple of days, given that Kwan's been really, really bad, one of the worst hitters in baseball over the last calendar year. But even if it's David Fry, Rhys Hoskins up at the top, those two guys who are supposed to hit lefties have not. Fry's got a 289 weighted on base average. Hoskins is even worse than that. So even their platoon guys aren't hitting lefties at all. And guys, Parker Messick, incredible season he's having for Cleveland. The pitching has, really kind of been their savior again. How about this? In 16 starts, he has allowed 7 total bases in the first inning, which I was blown away when I saw that stat. 094 batting average, 172 on base, 132 slugging, 19 strikeouts against 5 walks. hey, if the Rangers score off of him, okay, I'll take it. I'll wear it. I'll eat the juice. But I like no runs in the first inning here, minus 130 in Cleveland.
Well, Mark Borchardt and I were doing our Q2 MLB derivatives betting podcast last year. We actually did it on a numbers game. And one of the things we look at is first inning pitching stats. And I believe Parker Messick had the best first inning on base percentage against. It's like 07 something. I'll check exactly what it was. It was just incredible in the first inning from him. So that checks out. Greg Peterson was on earlier. He had a play in the White Sox game. You do as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take the White Sox here at plus money against the Orioles. I mean, Chicago, even without Murakami, I mean, their offense hasn't missed a beat, right? They've been very, very strong. They're getting some good pitching as well from guys like Sean Burke, who's getting the start here today. Expected ERA around 4, FIP around 4. That's going to get you by with what this offense has been able to do for Chicago throughout the course of the season. Shane Baz, 4.31 ERA, 4.51 expected ERA. But the biggest thing to me is when you look at the current composition of this White Sox lineup, they're going to have 7 left-handed bats against Baz in this game tonight. He's allowed a 285, 355, 470 slash, 356 weighted on base average, 2 lefties here this season. So the fact that left-handed batters have done so well against him, double-digit walk rate, also 10.4% walk rate, I think it sets up really, really well for the Chicago offense here. I know they've had some relief issues, and maybe Sean Burke is kind of a slight regression candidate in some respects, but I think the White Sox are going to score in tonight's game. I think they're going to be able to get the offense that they need to be able to win this one at a plus money price. Baltimore, they're 27th in weighted on base average against righties over the last 14 days. So they're not really doing much offensively right now against right-handed pitching, and Sean Burke's been a pretty good right-handed pitcher, at least an above average right-handed pitcher here this season. So I feel like the White Sox are worth a look here tonight where, again, I really like this matchup for them offensively. So even if you don't want to take, the plus 114 that's out there at DraftKings or some of the other plus money numbers, maybe a first 5 team total over, full game team total over, something like that. Just a good way to support the White Sox in what I think is a favorable matchup.
By the way, just to follow up on what I was saying before, first inning on base percentage against Major League Baseball, Jacob Misiorowski, now the best, 169 on base against in the first inning. Trevor Rogers of the Birds, 170, and then Messick, 172 for the Cleveland Guardians. The Dodgers are only minus 115 favorites at Sutter Health Park in Sacktown tonight, Adam. It's Eric Lauer going up against Gage Jump. Opportunity to jump on the Dodgers?
Hey, I see what you did there. I think so, right? I mean, a short price here, right, on a good night to hit. And this Dodgers lineup, we know that they're very, very hard to get through, very hard to turn over. And Gage Jump's been fantastic. I give him a ton of credit for what he's done here so far this season, even survived his start at Las Vegas Ballpark when it seemed like none of the starting pitchers were able to survive during that 6-game quasi homestand, we'll call it, for the A's. But he is jumping up in class here in this one, right? Facing the Dodgers. It's tough when you're a young pitcher going out there facing this kind of lineup. Everybody's a big name. These are a lot of guys that are able to lay off borderline pitches, stuff like that. Sometimes I think you try to be a little bit too fine when you face a lineup of this magnitude as a younger starting pitcher. And I think that's something that could get Gage in trouble tonight. If he walks some guys, put some guys on base, gives the Dodgers some run scoring opportunities in a good ballpark to hit, I think it could be a little bit tough. I understand why this is such a short price here on the Dodgers. Eric Lauer has all sorts of regression signs, right? 2.54 ERA in his 28 innings with the Dodgers, but 4.41 expected ERA, FIP over 5. It's going to happen at some point. Hey, it maybe happens tonight, right? But I think the Dodgers at this price, with all of these offensive conditions that should work in their favor, I couldn't pass on it. And also, I think their bullpen is significantly better than what the A's have been putting out there. So I took the Dodgers, and once again, kind of like that no-run first inning in Cleveland. If it loses, it loses. But I think this is a really valuable price to get on the Dodgers tonight.
Last thing in our final minute here, Adam, we've been sort of asking around. Well, not asking around, but Will Hill asked this of me. I think I asked it of him beforehand, which is this exercise here at roughly the halfway point of the season. Give me the 6 teams in the American League that make the playoffs exercise. You're on. Who you got?
Oh God. Well, the Yankees
It's
and
the
Rays,
worst.
for sure. I mean,
Yes.
the Yankees, despite what they've done here this week, they're definitely the class of the American League. There's no question about that. I still think the Mariners win the West. I mean, no one's really separated themselves there, but I think Seattle is the best team. I'm going to say the Guardians somehow find a way to win the Central. I don't know how, but they'll find a way. So that's 4 of them. White Sox get in. And you know what? I think Boston might actually sneak their way in. I think Boston's actually a much better team than they've been so far. If you look, by the way, at Clay Davenport's standings, they're minus 6 games in third order win percentage. They should be 42 and 40, so they're a positive regression team going forward.
I think you only named 5, which was a creative way of getting out of the answer. Well done. Very well done. Nicely done. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. NBA trade rumors next on A Numbers Game.